Track and field are winners at the Watts.
And women's basketball stays on top of the Horizon League.
All this and more coming up on Penguin Rundown.
Into the Penguin Rundown, everybody. I'm Katie Rogers-Videla, and alongside me is one of our new co-hosts, Cameron Stubbs. Cameron, how are you feeling? It's your first time hosting.
I feel great. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, too. You know who else feels good? Or YSU Sports. Over the break, a lot of YSU Sports played really well. Track and field played well. Women's basketball, as I mentioned earlier, playing really well. But let's backtrack to some track and field, and that's where you're going to get us started, Cameron.
The men and women's track and field teams competed at home last Friday, hosting the YSU Collegiate Invitational, where they earned victory in several events. Outstandingly, junior vaulter Erin Bogard broke her own personal record of 4.5 meters by clearing a 4.11 bar on her final attempt. Other impressive performances came from senior Sharitha Henderson, who ran the 200-meter dash in 24.57 seconds, a new YSU Collegiate Invitational record. Youngstown State's runners won 4 total events, with sophomore Madison Murray leading the way in the women's 60-meter hurdles. Junior Candia Matlock won the women's 60-meter dash, and Henderson's record-breaking performance in the women's 200-meter dash. Lastly, graduate student Anthony Woods took first in the women's 200-meter, which earned him this week's Horizon League Athlete of the Week, the second time he has earned this distinction. The field teams also had their own fair share of event victories, as freshman Victoria Lanise earned her 3rd straight win in the women's high jump. Junior Ty Hunt achieved his personal best in the men's long jump, taking the top spot, and junior Dominic Perry threw a top place shot put, making it his 2nd event win of the season. The track and field team hope to keep the successful season going as they host another meet this weekend at the 2-day YSU National Mid-Major Invitational.
The women's basketball team has had a very successful slate of Horizon League play during the break. The team is in its first place in the Horizon League with only 1 loss to the IUPUI Jaguars. The Penguins dropped their first game at home to IUPUI on the 16th as they had a late lead, but the Jags hit clutch threes in the 4th quarter to force overtime. The Jaguars outscored the Penguins 15-7 in the extra period to win the ballgame 76-68. Against IUPUI, 3 Penguins scored in double figures as senior Lily RITZ had 23, sophomore Malia Magestro scored 19, and junior Paige Shy knocked down multiple threes to add 12 points to the team. The team also forced 22 turnovers in the late overtime loss. Here's what head coach John Barnes had to say following the loss to the IUPUI Jaguars.
I felt like we were a little defeated once they made that run and put it into overtime, and then not having Chelsea, our body language and stuff wasn't great. I mean, they shot 84% from the free throw line. We shot 61%. You know what I mean? Like, we make one more free throw somewhere throughout the game, it's a different game. I'm disappointed. The team's disappointed, and especially in the fashion that it happened. But ultimately, it's one game in a long season, and we're not going to let this define our whole season. We fought hard, put ourselves in a position to beat a really good team, and hopefully we get this chance again and finish it.
Despite the loss to IUPUI, the team bounced back in a thriller last Thursday when former Robert Morris Colonial Megan Callahan hit a go-ahead 3-pointer with under 1 second to lift the Penguins to a 59-57 winner in Moon Township. Callahan finished with 13 points and knocked in 3 3-pointers, while sophomore Lexi Wagner added 11 points in the win while shooting 75% from distance. The Penguins had a quick turnaround to face RMU once again at their home court and handled the Colonials convincingly on Saturday with a 61-44 win. RITZ recorded her 7th double-double of the season with 17 points and grabbed a season-high 18 rebounds to lead the squad to a victory. Magestro was a big help to RITZ in the win with 14 points and was 100% at the free throw line. Just a few days ago, RITZ was honored as this week's Horizon League Player of the Week as she averaged nearly 17 points and 14 rebounds a game this week. Congratulations to Lily and good luck to the women this weekend as they welcome the Detroit Mercy Titans on Friday and the Oakland Golden Grizzlies on Sunday. Both games can be seen on ESPN Plus and heard on 570 WKBN. Now, the crew caught up with Lily Rich just a few days ago, and we found out a little more about her both on and off the court. Let's take a look at it.
The women's basketball team came into the 2021-2022 season with many questions. It lost key players in the forms of last year's Horizon League Freshman of the Year, as well as 3 other starters to the transfer portal. However, the portal did some good for the Penguins as they welcomed in 4 new transfers, one of those players being star forward Lily RITZ. The native of Cambridge, Ohio, grew up as the youngest of 3 siblings and was introduced to the game of basketball watching them play.
My whole family played, and a lot of it, when I was in middle school, my sister was a senior in high school, and her team went to the Final Four of high school, and I think after that, I really wanted to get there, and I really just wanted to be a winner, and I think ever since then, I just strive to be a good basketball player for my teammates. There's competitions everywhere. It could be from doing the dishes fastest to playing a card game. We usually have a 3-on-3 basketball game about every year that my mom and my brother probably aren't the most athletic, so it's a little funny to watch them. But yeah, we're competitive a lot. We learn a lot from each other about basketball, and I think my biggest motivator is just honestly just trying to be better than they were in high school and college. So.
RITZ played her previous 2 seasons at Wheeling, where she led the nation in rebounding for both the 1920 and 2021 season. She also concluded her time with the Cardinals, recording 33 straight double-doubles. It took her a couple games to find her groove, moving from Division II to Division I, but this season for Youngstown State, she's been phenomenal, averaging a near double-double of 18 points and 9 rebounds.
I definitely thought I needed to show myself and even just myself that I could play Division I basketball. And once I got on the court, it was just really easy to me. And it took a couple games to get back into my drive, but once I started getting back into it, I think it really started getting better, and each game is just better and better. So hopefully it just keeps on going up. The physicality, it's so much different than at Division II, and you could get away with a bunch of different things at Division II. Here you have to do the little things. You have to box out every play, and I think at Division II I kind of got away with just going to get the basketball, but here it's a completely different story. You really have to work hard to want to get the ball, so you have to do all the little things to be able to win.
If there is one person that you would compare yourself to, either in the NBA or the WNBA, who would that person be?
I get a lot about Kevin Garnett and some Giannis, but I don't really know. I don't watch enough NBA to really get a decipher on it, but I'm my own person.
The men's basketball team has been battling throughout winter break. Since our last show, the team has gone slightly under 500, going 6-8 overall, while only 2-6 versus conference opponents within that stretch. Senior forward Michael Akuche and senior guard Tevin Ollison have been leading the Penguins offensively, accounting for 1/3 of the team's points. Akuche also recently hit a major milestone as he became the 41st player to score 1,000 career points on January 13th against Northern Kentucky. The Penguins' last 3 games have been battles throughout, as the game versus Wright State came down to the final seconds until sophomore Daniel Ogoro nailed the 3-pointer to ice the game with 5 seconds left, giving YSU a 90-87 victory. The nail-biter was a crucial morale win, as Wright State had been riding high off of an 8-game winning streak heading in. Junior Dwayne Cohill led the way with 25 points for the Penguins in the win. Their last 2 games against Cleveland State and Purdue Fort Wayne resulted in losses. Against Cleveland State, the Penguins punished themselves by missing 6 free throws in a game that was ultimately lost by 3 points. Cohill and Ollison led the way with 20 and 18 points, but it wasn't enough as the Vikings bench players combined for 32 points to account for half of their total offense. In the game against Purdue Fort Wayne, the Penguins hurt themselves again by losing the turnover battle 17-8. Freshman William Dunn was perfect from the field, going 8 for 8 overall and 3 for 3 from three-point range. This was not enough, though, as 4 of the 5 starters for the Mastodons were in double figures. Both the turnovers and free throw problems will look to be addressed before the next game versus Green Bay on January 27th in the Beagley Center at 7 p.m. You can catch this game on 570 WKBN or on ESPN+. And with more on with the women's and men's basketball teams, let's send it over to Richie, Caleb, and Drew at the roundtable.
Thank you very much. Welcome here to the round table. I'm Caleb Ellison. Joining me today is Richie Giuliano and Andrew Peterson. Now, fellas, since the last time we've been on the air, there has been a lot of basketball action in both our men's and our women's program. And I want to get started with our women's program because they have been absolutely on fire, playing 11-1 at home, currently first in the Horizon League. And a big part of that has come from their explosive offense and the players in that offense.
Yeah, and you got to credit head coach John Barnes, who just picked up his 300th career victory of the season, and in his career at Michigan Tech and Youngstown State. Credit him for utilizing that transfer portal. If you would tell me that this team lost 50% of their points and our first team in the Horizon League right now, I'd tell you you're out of your mind. But head coach John Barnes done such a great job, bringing back some experienced players from last year that we'll touch on, Malia Magestro and Maddie Albaugh later, but also utilizing the transfer portal and bringing in Lily Ritz, who's one of the best scorers in this league.
Absolutely. Lily Ritz, the transfer senior this year, coming from a D2 program to the Horizon League, but she has stepped up to that role. Amazing numbers here all season long. What can you tell me about Lily Ritz?
Yeah, when you're looking at Lily, she made that big jump, like you said, from Division II, from Division I, but it seems like her play has transferred. Here at Youngstown State, she's averaging 20 points per game, and she's shooting around 60% from the field. So her being able to carry that from Division II to Division I is a really big accomplishment for her.
Really, when it comes to plays that happen inside the paint, the team moves through RITZ. And talking about in-conference games, over 20 points per game, and also averaging over 11 rebounds per game against conference opponents. So against the Horizon League, she's averaging a double-double. So really great stuff from RITZ.
Yeah, Lily Ritz down low has been automatic. That's a go-to player in a big situation that you feed the ball down low. And she also works in Youngstown State's game plan of an inside-out game. They have so many lethal shooters on this basketball team. And, a lot of pressure is drawn into Lily Ritz because of her success in the paint. And she's able to dish it back out to some lethal shooters that we have.
Actually, the perimeter shooting is what the women's basketball program is known for, and really stepping up to that three-point shooting this season has been Malia Magestro.
Yeah, when you look at Malia, she's shooting 42% from three, which is a big step. She's shooting the highest three-point percentage out of everyone on the team.
I mean, talk about she's been really heating up lately. Since January 14th in the game versus UIC, she's been averaging 13.8 points per game. And so we've talked enough about the offense. Another big part to this basketball program is the defense and ball control. So what are some defensive players that really helped out on the court?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is Maddie Albaugh, who would argue would be the best on-ball defender in the Horizon League. When you talk about her defensive performances against some of the top scorers in this league, a significant stat that I gathered from December 17th to January 1st, there were 4 games where Maddie Albaugh held each score to their season low on the year. 2 of them she shut out with a goose egg on the scoreboard. That just shows you how good she's been on ball. Very good, even though she's 5'5", scrappy hands, able to gather some steals. So, her presence on the paint and outside defensively, I mean, you can't ask for much more from Maddie Albaugh this season on the defensive end.
I mean, another stat from Maddie is that 2.7 assists per game. It's second on the team behind senior Chelsea Olsen. So really, Andrew, any final comments about this women's basketball team? They're first place in the league right now, really looking good overall.
Yeah, it's just showing how much improvement they made from last year to this year. As Richie said, they lost over 50% of their scoring. So them using transfer portal and getting Lily Ritz to come in, who's helped big on this basketball team.
All right, so really great talk about our women's basketball program, but now we're going to switch over to the men's basketball program. Overall, they're 10-10, and in conference, they're 4-6, and currently 8th in the Horizon League. And I really think a big part that correlates to that record was the early loss of Garrett Covington and his Achilles injury. I really think this team would be in a much higher space if he was still on the court.
Yeah, I agree with you. Garrett Covington, such a huge loss as we look at some of his stats from year to year. He's the Horizon League All-Defensive Team honoree the last 3 seasons, one of the best on-ball defenders in this league, just like Maddie Albaugh for the defensive side, for the women's side. Same here for Garrett Covington. And, a guy that's a very vocal leader. And this is a team that's younger, brought a lot of new faces in from the transfer portal. He was kind of the stabilizer in this group, but losing him in the early half of the season to the MTE was a big loss.
And so, but we have had players step up in Covington's space. And one guy I want to put a spotlight on is Dwayne Cohill, who has been absolutely white hot as of late. Since January 7th, he has scored in double digits in all games, and also in that span, a shooting percentage of 42.5%.
Yeah, when you look at Dwayne, he is doing very good from inside the paint. That's where most of his damage comes from. As you look at the screen, you see some highlights. From him even shooting the ball, he's doing really well in that department as well.
And so coming up for the men's basketball team, I want to look ahead at some of their future games here. Coming up on Thursday night, the 27th, they'll be playing against 10th place in the league, Green Bay. And then on Saturday, the 29th, against 7th place Milwaukee. And then past that, the rest of the schedule is looking like lower half teams in the league. So really, I think this is a great opportunity for the men's basketball team to turn it around and finish the season above 500.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a big stretch for Youngstown State, especially because they're at home. And when you look at their past 6 games, 4 out of their 6 losses have been 2-possession games. I mean, they've been in games. They just got to find ways to close it down the stretch. But with 6 out of their 10 final games coming against some of the bottom 4 teams in the league, they have a great chance to make up their ground in the standings.
So one more footnote I want to hear talk about our men's basketball team is Maihu Akuche just last week became the 41st Penguin in program history to score 1,000 career points at YSU. So really great achievement and accomplishment for him, someone who has been a cornerstone for years now.
Yeah, for sure. And Michael Akuche's been with Jared Calhoun, his entire career here at Youngstown State. Started as a freshman, has continued to grow year in, year out. A guy that will give you a consistent 8-9 rebounds per game. And another senior leader out there and a new group and, some fresh faces for Youngstown State. So congratulations to Michael Akuche. Well-earned 1,000 career points. And he's going to be a big leader for this team moving forward in the Horizon League tournament. He's the big presence down low.
Well, it's been great, entertaining basketball from both sides of the court. Our men's team looking to finish above 500, and our women's team has that Horizon League championship on the horizon. That's all the time we have here at the Round Table. I've been Caleb Ellison.
I've been Andrew Peterson.
And I'm Richie Giuliano.
Now it's time to send it back to Katie and Cameron.
Thanks, guys. Now we're going to head on to the men's tennis team where they started their spring season on January 14th, competing in the Liberty Hidden Duels in Lynchburg, Virginia. This 2-day competition included singles and doubles competition on the courts where YSU won 10 singles matches and 5 doubles matches. In singles competition, freshman Clement Mainguy, Nathan Favier, and Harry Faustus all finished with 2 singles wins each. The doubles teams of Faustus and senior Eric Gran went undefeated, going 3-0 as a team. The men's tennis team will be back on the road this weekend, traveling to Delaware to play the Blue Hens on the 28th, then travel to Annapolis, Maryland the following day to face the Navy Shipmen.
This past weekend, the bowling team traveled to New Jersey for the 3-day Northeast Classic tournament at Bolero Deptford. On Friday, they started off by breaking 2 school records. The Penguins set a new standard for the highest Baker match with a 1,164, while their 5-match total of 5,321 was a new school record by more than 100 pins. The high pinfall put Youngstown State in 2nd place on the first day of competition. Senior Emma Wren, junior Megan Grams, sophomore Madison Marks and Christian Moore, and freshman Jade Coate bowled from start to finish and topped 1,040 in 4 of the 5 sets on Friday. On Saturday, the Penguins went 3-2 in 5 head-to-head traditional matches, and they added 5,075 pins to their record-breaking performance total from Friday. The 5,075 score was the 2nd highest total pinfall for a traditional round in program history. Wren had the 2nd best 5-game set of her career with 1,076 that allowed her to tie for 16th place. Grams was 11 pins behind Wren with a total of 1,065 that slotted her 23rd, and Moore finished 30th with a 1,039 set. On Sunday, the bowling team had one of the most impressive tournaments in school history by knocking off top-ranked Sam Houston twice on its way to a 3rd-place finish at the Northeast Classic. The Penguins qualified 3rd among 7 teams ranked in the National 10-Pin Coaches Association Top 25 poll and went 2-1 in bracket play. Youngstown State also had the highest tournament average in school history at 210.4. It was the first time in school history that the Penguins beat the top-ranked team in the NTCA Top 25 poll twice in the same tournament. The bowling team will be challenged next week as they travel to the prestigious PVAMU Invitational. The 3-day tournament will take place at the International Training Center in Arlington, Texas from January 28th through the 30th.
And now we're going to send it over to John Ostapowicz, who has this week's Play of the Week.
I'm John Ostapowicz with your Penguin Player of the Week. This week we have Malia Madrastro of the Youngstown State women's basketball team. As she was able to inbound the ball with 5 seconds left in the first quarter, she went coast to coast for a contested layup in order to help lead the Penguins 18-14 at the end of the first quarter. What an amazing play. Thank you, Malia. And now back to Katie and Cameron in the studio.
Thanks, John. Congratulations to Malia again for getting this week's Play of the Week. That'll wrap it up for us here for this week's episode of the Penguin Rundown. For news, highlights, and more, be sure to check out YSUsports.com and follow us on both of our social medias on Twitter and Instagram, and those are both at Penguin Rundown 1. I'm Katie Rogers-Videla.
I'm Cameron Stubbs.
And we'll see you next week, Penguin Nation.